I'm called when the usual methods don't work. You called? I came. Yes, well, this is an interesting... Who is the entity? Yes, well, it's a girl, approximately. That's all I need to know. Oh. So what is the procedure? The procedure is I go in alone and do my thing. And just what exactly is your thing? Extermination. Girls, boys, men, women. Gender and age mean nothing to me. Any spirit that won't move on is a pest. When these pests turn their anger towards the living, then the only recourse is a greater show of violence. It really is the only way. Holy men will have you believe the grace of God will vanquish the shadows of evil, but they're delusional. When they fail, and they always do, they call on me to clean up the mess. I lock the door behind me. I don't get far in the apartment when I feel her presence. She was young when she was killed. Her death has gone unresolved. That's none of my business. I'm not a cop or a therapist. I feel you, I call out to the apartment. Tiny, aggressive. You are one unhappy little thing. From down the hall, she growls in response. I don't see her yet, but if she's forceful enough to be heard, then I shouldn't have to meditate much to reach her frequency. In fact, I've already started to pinpoint all my energies into pulling away from the mortal plane. She rushes me head on. I step out of her way and push her head into the door. Her momentum helps create a hell of a thud. I see her now. She looks like she just stepped out of a prairie with her dress which hides her ankles, and her long brown hair tied in a thick braid, like a milkmaid in training. I smile as she swings around and howls at me. I catch a glimpse of her teeth, perfectly pointed, eroded by years of resentment toward the living. She didn't want to be killed. She wants everything the living possess, material and physical pleasures. Being dead is a cold, lonely existence. Too bad. I'll give you one more chance to move on, I tell her. She's not listening. Her rage deafens her, hones her tunnel vision, and propels her clawing fingers toward my throat. I can smell her scorching, stale breath from this distance. I dodge her charge again. We can do this all day. I'd rather not. She comes at me one more time. I stop her in her tracks by grabbing her throat and slamming her to the floor. Skull and laminate flooring crack upon impact. Is it over? Yeah. Did she move on? In a way. What do you mean? She's gone. It doesn't matter where. But her soul! You knew what I was about when you called me. Yes, but she's one of God's children. She deserves her place by his side. I did what I came to do. Yes, extermination. Exactly. I'm fully aware of what happened that night. I took the curve too fast and plowed into a light pole. The seatbelt and airbag saved my life. That's what the paramedics who arrived a few minutes later after said. Maybe they were right. I like to think I had a hand in my own survival. I willed myself to not let my broken ribs and internal bleeding take me to the afterlife. I wasn't finished living. I wasn't finished driving fast. that night. The dead of night. It's called that for a good reason. I know that now. As I sat like a puppet on broken strings, propped up by an airbag, I saw a man approach. He could have been a local. For all I know, he might have been. He didn't look out of place there in the glades. The old black man looked like he'd work a field, or maybe 1,000, in his long life. His overalls were faded and torn in spots. His straw hat bore the brunt of 1,000,000 sunny days. He held a red bandana in one hand. As he walked up, he patted his forehead with it. It wasn't hot. I remember the air on that night was cold like a knife. An old dog walked beside him. A brown and white hound dog. Dopey looking thing it was, ambling alongside its master. From several yards away, the man spoke to the dog. The hound's ears perked up, failing to lift off its head. I couldn't feel anything below my neck at this point. Numbness was quickly becoming familiar. But that would pass after what came next. The man, if that was what he was, stopped in his dusty tracks. In the light from the top of the pole, he unzipped his blue jeans and pulled out... No. I can't talk about that. I didn't see it for long anyway. All I'll mention is that I thought I was at the mercy of a sick pervert. I didn't have the strength to defend myself from a deviant. But I didn't want to die there. It's funny how one's lust for life kicks in near death. I can take you, the man told me. Legba can take you. I panicked. Did he mean he could carnally take me, or was he offering to usher me onward to the next world? I believed in this fantastic moment that he was there on that dark road in the middle of nowhere for a reason, wicked or not. And I was that reason. The man cleared up my confusion by asking me if I wanted to leave. Help me, I groaned. Call for help. The old man looked down at his dog. His shoulders slumped. I guess he's staying, he told the hound. The dog circled around his master and headed back the way they came. The old man turned toward me one last time. Are you sure? He reluctantly said. I didn't answer, but he knew.